Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Perfect. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Yeah, let me just turn off some of these lights. Turn on some other ones. Okay, great.
Awesome. Hi, Robert. Roberto, I want to introduce you to Dr. Rushinek. Her and I, we have started some conversations a couple of weeks ago about potential collaborations. And Dr. Rushinek is a professor, and she's very interested in the development of large language models, and she have worked with that and have experience with that. Robert is what is our IT brain here at the College of Nursing, really involved in developing products. He was actually the one that deployed the two agents that we're using in the share hospital. So that's to give you an idea. And Robert and I are working on a new collaboration here that we have here in terms of deploying AI powered holographic agent. So I think this is a very timely conversation for the three of us. I'm very excited about the potential things that we can do together, but more excited about knowing, Sarah, what you have in mind and what do you have, what are your suggestions? I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Dean Santos, and let's take it from
Yeah,
here.
right. Well, first of all, good to see you, and thanks for setting up the meeting. I reached out to the dean, and he said he's extremely busy and that I should follow up with you, Frank.
Okay.
So you remember we were discussing that, and I took your suggestion and I passed that on to you. So he says that he would like me to continue pursuing with you, and that even the dean said he would reach out to you to continue this, pursue this conversation. So that's where we have it there. Maybe, and he said he's swamped till the end of April. So let's see what turns out and what we have in common and things like that. So maybe what I can gain before I give you is, let me hear what you guys have done in terms of these agents, and maybe you can demonstrate a little bit, and then I can feed in and see if I can contribute anything, or if there's any right now any synergy that we can continue on. Definitely, there's a lot of potential there, and I was telling Frank I've been following you for a number of years, even right before the simulation hospital came about, and all your simulators, and a number of my students were in the nursing school, have been in the nursing school as well, in the tech side and also in the PhD side. So I've always, my area has been in health informatics and looking at technology for healthcare. And I've even done some in the past, even done some lectures for you guys in terms of how to use technology. So I'd like to hear what you've done, and then we can see if there's something that we can continue on.
So, Robert, the stage is yours.
All right. Well, good morning. I'm sorry. I think I was muted when I
Yeah.
tried to introduce myself. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, as Dr. Guido said, we deployed already two agents.
Okay.
And these two agents are one of them is it's got a lot of restrictions because that one is strictly for nurse specialists and the creation of NLL, LNL. I'm sorry. Am I saying it correct, Dr. Guido?
Yes.
NLL? Yeah.
What are you speaking about? I'm not sure I understand the acronym. What is it?
It's for it's a nursing. It's a format that
NLN.
yeah,
The
NLN.
National League of for Nursing
Okay.
simulation template.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So the agent creates this scenarios based on that template, and then the nurse specialist and uh, the information that it's feeding the scenario it's very restrictive. It's from just a few uh, resources, which it's that's on part of the knowledge base for it. And then the it cannot be older than 5 years. So there's a lot of
Parameters.
restrictions and parameters on that agent. The second agent, it's a little bit more unrestrictive. It's more for SOPs and troubleshooting. And that one actually, I was earlier today. I was following up on a recommendation, and I was upgrading the knowledge base on it. And now it seems to be uh, giving me what I want, what they asked me for, and I believe that both of them are uh, doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing as of now. But then again, as you can see, we constantly renewing based on and feeding it, tutoring it, if you would.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever our nurse specialists and our technicians they tell us and give us ideas of
Mm-hmm.
what they would like to get a faster answer, give them more options for them to go from there, and ways to integrate with Outlook, well, actually with Office 365 in general, but now I'm actually trying to get one of the agents to be able to send emails on their behalf.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so your first one, who is that target audience for?
The
That
first one is,
NLM, right?
yeah, so the first one is for our nurse specialists.
And
And
then there's a phone number they call, or how do they gain access to this agent?
so right now I have them published on 365 and on Teams, so they can go ahead and reach out to them on Teams, reach out to the agent on Teams, and on Teams they can request this to be created, a scenario to be created, or even on M365 as part of their um,
And they
once they're authenticated.
use text, they use voice, they use both.
Right now, only text.
Okay,
We
and
would
your
like
second,
to
right, and your second one, that SOP, that's who's the target audience there?
the technicians.
The technicians when they, and so this is like a service ticket. What is this supposed to help with?
Let's,
What's the
uh,
problem you're trying to solve?
well, this one it's troubleshooting and creation of SOPs and things of that matter.
So
So,
so give me a scenario. I'm
uh,
a technician in the nursing school, and what?
mhm. And you are working on a simulator on a SimMan 3G, for example,
Okay, all right.
and you want to see how you can connect it to the patient monitor and be able to activate the one of the modules that you're only seeing on the back end, but you would like to put it on the patient monitor. Then
Okay.
you go ahead and you ask, can you tell me how I can get an alert
Oh,
or
okay.
see?
Okay,
And
and
then,
this is text based as well.
correct,
This is text based as well, and this is
correct,
through Teams or through Office, through
yes,
Microsoft 365, and they're on the network. Okay, and this is within the nursing school.
correct,
Okay, so it's within the nursing school. Okay,
yeah.
got it. And you created it with Microsoft's Agent. Is that what software you used, or what? How did
No,
you create it?
Studio,
With
Copilot Studio.
Copilot Studio. Okay, so you use Microsoft Copilot Studio. Okay.
Initially, we deployed one avatar with the ID, right? That was initially the ADA,
Yeah.
right? With the ID as an
Okay.
ID the product that we still have a license for it, I believe, but it's kind of like very restricted. Is that correct, Robert?
Oh, so it's it collaborates with ID AI, yeah, which is an avatar creation.
And who is the audience that you're using that, or that you just
Same,
try? The
Same.
same audience, and it's solving what problem?
That one is to create an avatar driven video of so we we have instructions and we can
like a pre-simulation,
a
the
pre-simulation.
pre-briefing for, and in general, we're using it right now to sort of introduce the students that are going into simulation as a pre-simulation general.
Okay,
So
so for this, so they
thinking
go.
about psychological safety and physical safety,
Okay, and
which
how
are
how do
two
they? So how do they interact with this? Through text or what?
Through text.
Through
yeah,
text, not voice.
not
Correct.
voice.
Okay,
Not voice.
okay. So you can,
And that's
yeah.
our interest in being able to equip these agents with with LLM.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. Okay, but you're not. But you haven't used it. You go by Robert or Roberto
Yeah,
or
yeah. Robert. Yeah.
Robert. It's fine. Whatever. Because I just saw on your label there, Roberto. Okay, I guess the UM puts that in as your formal name. Robert. So, do you have any goals to do any voice agents, AI voice agents?
Yes, yes. I definitely want to. I want to go from text to text to
Conversation.
speak, and yeah, and then speak to
Okay.
yeah.
So, what my work is, you can tell, I guess, by my questions, is conversational.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
conversational in two ways. I have I have it done where I use platforms um, to get a phone number.
Okay.
And then there's 2 points: getting a phone number, calling that phone number, and that and have a conversation. And I was telling Frank, having that voice conversation be that phone number be provisioned for an LLM. Plus the LLM, you pick the LLM that you want from OpenAI to others, and then you can modify and train it and modify it via its prompts of how you want it to answer the call versus how do you also have it, one, with guardrails, and two, with your own material, so with your own content. So it has in the background a regular LLM that you can ask it questions like into any LLM, but it also has specifics to your content area. And I
Good.
was
Okay.
talking to Frank about it, that I wanted to try it out as an experiment in different parts in healthcare to see basically more engagement for even training the nurses, and possibly more engagement in terms of even a lot of your mannequins that you have,
Yeah.
that they can have that speech and speak to it, right? That not only do I have a headache, but these are my problems, and how are you feeling? And the mannequin can talk. There's a number of different stages to it. And another one that I spoke to Frank is the idea of training. And I think it will, even despite its hallucinations, right, that we know it always has, that I think in mental health, it may be a way in which you can train it, training
Yeah.
people in your. I know you have a program of psychiatric nursing and other areas in the mental health, or even regular nurses that need to converse. I see it as a possibility for telehealth, home care visits that you can do, and it can be as a follow up. And then basically there's two phrases. You have the voice AI agent, but it can transfer you to the human, or the humans can oversee what the voice agent is doing and intervene. But in the beginning, what I see it as, not to do any harm, because this is the area, is use it for training in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because in training, and then in training, what's nice is then you know its limits. So even the nurses or those training, they can say, oh, what are the limits? And you know the limits today, in 6 months from now, they're going to get even better. But it's like the beginning, right? And you know it yourself, Robert, right? Of what it was a year ago versus today. Every week, it's hard for me even to keep up, let alone the industry, right? And I'm quite technical, and I always used to feel like, oh, I'm up on it, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that I'm behind as well. If everybody said I know exactly what's happening, I know what's going to be in the future, they're lying to you, right? Because everything is going so quickly. So I envision it as almost, we can use it as an experiment first.
Yes.
And use it for the nurses themselves rather than giving it out to any audience, but then you could see it as almost a role play situation. And what I like as well, part of my research, is what they call vanity phone numbers. Do you know what a vanity phone number is, Robert?
Those are the 1-800s that you can create from Google.
Well, not necessarily. It doesn't have to be a 1-800, but usually there are, like, you've heard it before. If you want to call, you have to send flowers to someone. They say,
Yeah,
oh, what's it?
1-800
1-800 flowers. That it basically it goes for a brand, and you can attach it. So
Correct.
one of the things that we do, part of the research, does that help by having, from the part of my areas, I work with translational research in the medical school as well, but my major housing is in business technology. So I always look at the revenue side and basically of how you can increase it. And so does it increase your brand? Do people feel more comfortable? Is it a part that they can remember? So one of the things what we do with the aid of AI is when we try to get a phone number, we try to get it to spell a vanity, like sometimes you can see that USA nursing or something like that, or help or some kind of thing where you have it that people say, oh, I know to do it. And I mentioned to Frank, like 1-800 ChatGPT is ChatGPT provisioned that as they don't advertise it, but they did it on a hackathon that they have that. But the issue with 1-800 is that costs you, in terms of toll free, the person that has that number has to pay every time someone calls. So what I'm doing in my research is, let's take that area code and convert it to a number. So if, for instance, if you think about USA, if you look at your keypad, right, and you can have it that you can get those numbers, those digits that spell USA. So I'm using right now a platform that you can demonstrate, and you create free phone numbers, and they have a way. If you wanted to have your own number, you could get it from. Have you ever heard of Twilio, Robert?
No.
Twilio, it is a company that does a lot of middleware, but they also provision those phone numbers that you could go to Twilio and you say, okay, I want a phone number and I want it to be provisioned to handle an LLM, and then you could bring that into a number of different platforms. It's your number. You always can keep it, versus what I'm using for my research and for my students is an open platform that they give you a number of tokens, small number of tokens that you can try it out. So what I foresee is thinking about a scenario for training. And that's why I was talking to Frank about the idea is maybe you guys know it in some kind of like the mental health area, I think, in training, or having to reach out to some program that has to reach out to have conversations with their patients. This is a way in which they can train, and then they could train it and they could role play it based on, they role play it as the nurse, role play it as the psychiatric nurse, role play it as the patient, and then you could even ask the AI voice agent role play with me,
Yeah.
and then you
Uh,
could see it.
I was thinking when we have that discussion, Robert, I was thinking in the scenario that um, Dr. Salani and Betty does
yeah.
for human trafficking and mental health. That could be, probably a good a potential, scenario that we can, pilot and test. I mean, obviously, we will have to change a little bit the scenario and modify it to fit the implementation of these voice agents. But I think that will be absolutely great to explore that area, and and if we can get that scenario, see the results and everything, maybe we can then move forward with sort of like making that agent, voice agent, and the AI in more generative and more robust in terms of the content, and then sort of like even try pilot it again as a
Mm-hmm.
telehealth visit, or the training for nurse practitioners, nurses in interviewing,
Right. Or
mental health
even,
patients.
like the beginning.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
you understand, even a triage before they even see
The
the nurse.
triage.
Yeah, before they even see the nurse practitioner. A number of people I
Perfect.
know, I'm working with folks in GI, and what they want to do with the voice agent is, it takes 8 or 9 months just to see a GI specialist. And let's say, Robert, you want to go see them, right? You have to wait 9 months. Well, alternatively, you could talk to our voice agent. They could ask you a number of questions,
Yeah.
right, of your symptoms, and then it could be passed over to a nurse practitioner, and then, or even they say, oh, it seems like you just, let's start off with just over the counter meds, or the nurse practitioner could then prescribe based on the questionnaires, based on that, prescribe to you something with a prescription, and then speak with you, and then you as it turned out in other schools like Northwestern, they were pretty pleased with that, because you as a patient, Robert said, I didn't have to wait 9 months, I got it,
Yeah.
I feel a lot better. So it may be on the triage sense that what we could do. I thought it'd be interesting on the the counseling side
Yeah.
to have that a in my vision is have that agent be in the conversation, where you don't have access to a nurse, a psychiatric nurse practitioner 24/7, Robert. And if you have an incident there, you could contact them, call them, or you can even have your nurse practitioner give you a set of guidelines, what you, how you should speak to the agent. What will, give me some calming techniques at 3 o'clock in the morning. I feel like I'm having a panic attack. Help me with breathing exercises. Help me, focus. And of course, you'd have that caveat, you may need to call 911, or, or whatever. And it also could be interesting of the recordings, if the patient would allow it, you could even, have it rehearse that and see what we're, there's so many different ideas. But, we can start small, but I'm just thinking about that two ends of getting that phone number and seeing how it works. And sometimes when you do these small pilots, it'll bring us into a completely different area. When
Right.
you say,
Yeah.
hey, this is not where it really works or thrives, but you want to keep it somewhere. My criteria is keep it simple, and two, having it be do no harm, type of thing, that you're
Yeah.
not going to be doing any harm. And even with these phone numbers, there is an opportunity. People feel a lot of times in terms of expressing their symptoms or something, that conversational works, but in some of these you could also text, as well.
Yeah.
It turns out, it is also probably generational, right? That the younger people feel more comfortable in
Yeah.
texting. Also, what the advantage, and Frank saw that, is in terms of, of multimodal, that it can be switching to different languages as well.
Yeah.
That even if I know a little bit of English, I'm more comfortable explaining my symptoms in Spanish or Creole or.
Yeah. And I think we could uh, we could feed it plenty of scenarios.
Yeah, and what's
Yeah.
nice about these are you don't need to be, it's like vibe code, you don't need to be a programmer. It's like, how do you want to have it respond? Those people could, a lot of your end users, where they could fill it in.
Yeah.
You understand? And
Yeah.
then you can make
Yeah.
it simple. One is a simple, what they call a simple assistant, and then you could make it more complex, and have a number, one agent calling the other. I'm just saying, let's just keep it simple for now. If a simple agent doesn't work, why bother programming something more sophisticated if it's not? And then you could
Yeah.
see, and then they can. I think they could also learn, if you think about the nursing community, is they can see what can the AI really do for me now in terms of
Yeah.
healthcare, where it can be. I think all of healthcare is going to be uh, being disrupted in a certain way, and it's kind of going from the ground up. I know that end users turn to ChatGPT for my symptoms, for talking about my problems, but it's where do you integrate it where they get good guidelines from the professionals, and where does it fit? So trying
Right.
it out, looking at it experimental. That's my idea. It's good that I see, thanks Frank for bringing Robert in the conversation, because I see where you are in terms of the text. I want to do it conversational. And then what I was telling Frank as well is, in some of these, then the end user doesn't even need to get onto the internet. That
Yeah.
the conversation, you can use a plain old, it's probably, um, Frank and I may remember, but the plain old telephone system, the
Yeah.
POTS, is right. That regular phone line is not
Yeah.
attached even to the internet. Isn't even a
Right.
smartphone that you have anywhere in the world. My internet is even down, right? I can contact these phone numbers
Yeah.
and have that conversation. And since it's training purposes, you can say in the beginning that this is being recorded for exactly those training purposes. So in these cases, we can record it. And the beauty is you can have AI summarize it. You can AI do the voice to text. You don't need another person. And even you can say, if the conversation was in Spanish, also convert it to English, so our
Yeah.
speakers can see what the text was in English. It's like infinite number of ways to do, I think, research and training, in my opinion. I mean, it's, and then it can also later on even check for sentiment. Is this
Yes.
person
Yes.
in distress? Is this person sound angry? Does this person sound happy? You almost could even check it based on your voice prints. How is that patient even improved? Right? We even know it when we hear it, but we couldn't define it. If Frank calls me, and he knows me well enough, he could say, Sarah, what's wrong? You sound sad, right? You
Yeah.
don't sound
Yeah.
as good as before. Oh, Sarah, what happened? You sound so happy, right? What is it about that? I couldn't even define it step by step, right? Audit in that audit, and especially if later on you could even do it, and this is just through voice, right? Later on you can
Yeah.
do it, and they even have a lot of those that you could do. So there's so many different ways, but that's what my research is about, and where we can combine that. Then we have to stay. I still think, it'd be great in terms of that training, and giving it scenarios. That's my.
Uh,
I think you got a good feel for it, Robert.
so Sarah, how do we start? You know, this this um this path. This collaboration. I mean, what what would be a good start for us,
I think it's
given
simple. Something.
obviously the
Yes.
limitations of time and
Yeah.
resources?
I think in simple we could use something like that. one of those platforms, and I'm speaking about that's free, so we don't have those resource problems,
Yeah.
right? And two, we could try getting a phone number that could be a vanity number. Even if we couldn't get it right in the beginning, we could use just a regular number, right? And then we could take a scenarios, small scenarios there, and try it out.
How about if I reach out to Dr. Valdez and Dr. Salani, which are, the ones that are leading
Okay.
one is a postmaster certificate in mental health,
That'd be
nurse
perfect.
practitioner, and the other one is Betty, who's also faculty, but she's like more into human trafficking and also behavioral issues.
Mm-hmm.
And have a conversation.
Yeah, let's do that, and then I could demonstrate it. I think demonstrating it is the best. Robert, I didn't demonstrate. I could, if you wanted to have another a call on it, I could demonstrate it. But I think you got the idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you being
Yeah.
more technical, but I think with those folks, Frank, something like what I had, what I showed you the first time, let's see it in action, because people normally, if I say those voice AI agents, have no clue what that means.
Right.
Yes.
Right? You
Yes.
saw it yourself, right, Frank? That it's like,
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
once you see it, Frank, and then you know your content area better than I do,
Yeah.
right? And then you can kind of say, or they can even say, oh, this is where it fits, and maybe
So-
use it as maybe in the beginning as just even like in the beginning, maybe even a class assignment first, and having the nurses. And what I do, I can show them. I have it for my students, and I even have a class that's undergraduate. In about 15 minutes, Frank, they create a scenario where they even they're becoming like AI consultants. They put in their whole team, they put in some of their issues, and then they see if the system worked, and they call back. And I'm looking just inbound. Later on,
Okay.
these systems
Yeah.
also can do outbound, where you saying, okay, these are the list of patients that I saw.
Yeah.
Then the agent can call back and say, oh, Frank, how are you doing? What is, and then could have a list of questions. Did you check your blood pressure? Did the nurse come in? And then you could even have that call. And then they
After
say,
follow up. Yeah.
yeah, a follow up. You can have that agent, and then based on how Frank responded, then you say, oh, we'll have a nurse call you, or reach out to you. And then you could say that out of these 10 people, these 3 people, really, Frank, you should call them right away.
And that will be a great, Robert, that will be a great opportunity for especially the nurse practitioner students to train in, getting calls from consultants, like, oh, I have a patient here in the ER that is having, some mental issues in addition to some organic problems, and we need a consult with mental health. And,
Triage
that
almost.
agent can be also relating the symptoms, the presentation of the patient and everything.
Even asking it questions, and then you can
Yes.
even say, and some of them, what they've done, Robert, is they say, oh, I don't have all the information, right? And then they can say what some of them being able to do. I can save that call that came from Robert, right? Robert, call me back when you have the additional information about that patient. And then you say, hey, I'm Robert, I just spoke to you. I said yes, and I can continue on. So let's continue. We were on question 5, and you didn't have those answers. Do you have it now in terms of 6, 7, 8?
So I'm going to.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Get it from those that actually are teaching, right? And I'll demonstrate it. You understand? And then they can come up and say, where does this possibly fit, Frank?
So I'm going to go ahead and reach out to them via email. Robert, I'm going to CC you. I'm going to test the grounds, and then I will involve you, Sarah. It's like, if depending on the dynamic of the conversation and everything, because I don't want to overwhelm them up front.
Yeah, no, just say these are my ideas. Right. No, I can see how they could also be scared. Like, well,
Yeah,
I'm not a
yeah.
programmer. I don't want to get into this.
Right,
And
right,
and a lot of people are very what can I say? Very reluctant. Some
Yes.
of it is
Yeah.
right, but some of
Yeah.
it is overly. They're afraid. Oh, it's going to take over my job. Rest
yeah.
assured, this is not going to take over your job. In nursing, you have so many things. The only thing it will take over is all that other busy work. Maybe it'll alleviate that, and you can do the hard
Absolutely.
stuff.
Absolutely. It's not only that; it's also improving the curriculum and
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
the students up prepared to this
Yeah, no, I
21st
think
century.
that's it. And expose them to what it is, and then they can see. And the
Absolutely.
students can even come up with. That's what I do with my students. They come up with reflections of what were the problems, right? What can it still
Absolutely.
not do, and how do you get around it? And some of the things that were
I think as an instructional tool, I will be
that's where I see
an
it.
amazing tool.
Yeah.
Even starting, don't even think about it as we're implementing it. But this
Yeah.
is the state of the. This is the state. You evaluate where it, what are its pros, what are its cons, where is the state of it, and knowing that it will be
Yeah.
changing. That's all.
You have
Let's
given
look
me
at
a
this
lot
as
of
as
ideas.
our proof of
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
even just of a concept. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To introduce, and you may even want to say it as, and I'll be happy if it meets my schedule for those folks to come in. If it's on Zoom, sometimes it's even easier to have their folks come in and
Yep.
and do it for the students,
Yeah.
right? Rather than the be like a guest speaker. Maybe even you
Right.
could
Right. Yeah.
introduce it as that, Frank, to ease the
Okay.
mind, so it's not even coming from them. Let me
Right.
just show you what it is, and I could do a tutorial
Okay.
kind of a thing, a tutorial lecture another professor coming in
Yeah.
as a
Okay.
get.
Perfect.
Maybe that'll be better than putting it all. Hey, we want it all in your, sex trafficking and all that other things. Maybe it doesn't even
Yeah.
affect. Let's as where I've been a professor of technology and health informatics, and I have in the past worked with the nursing school with your former dean, and written papers with them on technology and nursing with your former deans, and they wanted me to also teach in your program, that the technology and health as well. So maybe that's the way, Frank. You know your
Okay.
folks better.
Yeah.
Maybe that's even an easy way.
Yeah. I'll explore both.
Yeah, right. But just say
For
have her come
Yeah.
in as a, you know.
yeah. Yeah.
But if they don't,
And I think I will ease the pace. At very many levels. And
yeah, yeah, and it may not be the timing, and
right. Yeah.
and that's okay too. I'm not selling anything, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
So
No. No.
so
No.
you know what
I
I
mean.
mean? Like sometimes I'm so passionate, people think, what are you selling me? I'm
Well,
buying,
same
but
here.
I'm not sure what I'm buying, right?
Same here. Same here.
Why?
You know,
Yeah, you have
we're committed to
incitement too. So
succeed.
we're on the same path, Frank, that we get
Yeah.
excited about it. But I just want to, other people are more apprehensive, so it
Yeah.
maybe even that of introducing what's available, that you'll give a talk on it,
Yeah.
maybe.
And the proverbial "what's in for me," right?
Right,
Yeah.
no, and that's it. But at
Yeah.
least you'll be, and these people will be up to date, and those that even are doing any, clinical study or something, can even take that of the classroom, having that versus, or voice versus tech. I don't, there's so much out there, but
Absolutely.
but there, I think you have to be educated, right? And you make the decision of what it is, but literally this is, what's
Absolutely.
happening.
So I'm gonna go ahead and reach out to them, Robert. I'm gonna CC you on that and include
Thank
that
you.
to see
Yeah.
if we can meet, and that we call
Right,
that
and,
our
and let me
first.
know, Frank. I think it'd be better maybe if I do like a demonstration like I did, the first time with you.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? You know it, because that really got you,
I'm just going to
thinking.
introduce the concept and what is available, and test
Right.
the grounds, and then I will reach out to you as a group, and then
Right, and then
hey,
you
Sarah,
can
can
do
you come and invite us? Either coming over or you
right
coming
if
over.
you want it as a Zoom, or if you want me to
Yeah,
present it to some of your
perfect,
faculty, or
perfect.
whatever. I'll
All
be
right.
happy to do it. Just sometimes it's just easier on Zoom, because then I can share my screen, and they can see it on
Yeah,
their screen. But
perfect.
you
Yeah,
understand? So
we'll do that.
sometimes that
Yeah.
you agree
And
with me, Frank. Sometimes it's
oh
easier.
yes, absolutely. And it will take the burden of like people making arrangements in their schedules
Yeah, you know what I mean?
and
It's a lot of times
and
they can even see me. I don't care if they're in Honolulu, right? We don't care where. No,
Yeah.
but seriously, you understand? It
Yeah.
just
yeah,
makes it.
yeah,
I have to go home. I have to be in traffic. I think a Zoom meeting is just easier.
yes,
And I can share
absolutely.
the screen, and then they can look at their screen. And I said, go to this website and you can see it. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
I think that's better. Later on, if I need to meet them physically, that's fine. We want to do it. But I think even in this exercise, even
Yeah,
with the students, it can be done easily. And
okay.
what's nice about it too, Frank, then it'll be easily recorded.
Yeah,
So those that can't be there, and then we should do that too when we meet again, Frank, is I'm giving you permission, we can record that session.
okay.
So if they want to pass it to someone else,
Perfect.
they can say, hey, to your other colleagues, of what this is, and then they can reach out to me.
Well, let's do that.
Okay,
That's
I
absolutely
like
great.
that idea.
Awesome.
What do you think?
So
Yeah.
maybe, and we
Yeah.
had a meeting yesterday here in IT with IT at Share, and we are starting a new IT collaboration, with a Share as a technology innovation task force, and I think
What
this
is
will be
share?
a great Share hospital, the hospital, that's what we're called,
Oh, you're called. I didn't even see
Share.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
right behind my
I know. I see
signature.
a lot of share, but I don't even know. And I see you, and I see the School of
That stands
Nursing,
for
but I had no clue
simulation.
what share
That
was.
stands for Simulation Hospital Advancing Research
So I
and
think that's,
Innovation.
and then we really can think.
Yeah.
Originally that was my idea, and when the first time I spoke to your dean as well, is that's what I said, that this needs to be, a lot of this AI can be built into so much in the
So we can,
hospital.
yeah, we can do this also as a first step to, like
You're right, but like
grand rounds on and technology and innovation, whatever,
right.
and
I think that'd be great. And then it could be grants. I think, I know the Department of Labor, everybody wants everything to be AI. As a matter of fact, they brought up to our department, yeah, they want to have a school, university wide minor in AI. And it was, we would offer some courses, but then each school could offer their own as part of the minor. So there could be AI in nursing.
perfect.
So that could
Yeah.
be a course, of what's available AI in terms of nursing could be. So that could be the beginning of that, even, of you guys even having a
Awesome.
course on that.
Hmm.
That, there's so many different ways that you can think
There's
about it.
so
So,
much.
yeah, so I'd be happy to work with somebody and thinking about even a curriculum. If anybody, you may want to think about those that are more technology oriented. You'll be the one to decide on that in
Yeah.
your faculty to go. But you
Okay.
can invite, Frank, anyone that you know what I mean, who you think is appropriate.
Okay. Perfect.
If you want
We'll
your
do
tech
that.
people there, or just have a conversation, but maybe just even pose it like that, have a conversation of what's available.
Yeah.
And then
Great.
I'm interested in healthcare and, nursing using
Awesome.
AI. Maybe that, rather than saying, hey, she's wanting to take a voice agent, I think that's too scary. And no, seriously, and then they're always thinking about what's the negative. Oh, the AI will,
Yeah.
be telling them to commit suicide or something. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
so I think it's more that conversation, maybe, of putting it, rather than we're I'm imposing to put it into one of their programs.
Right.
I'm happy to give you about it, and if you want to me to be a guest lecturer or something like that, or
Perfect.
let them come and say, hey, incorporate it into our meeting.
Okay, great. So let's do that, and I guess I'll follow up with you, Sarah.
Yeah,
When we're gonna have the meeting and everything, and after the meeting,
Yeah, then we'll find out a good time. I think Zoom is the best in the beginning. Let's do a Zoom. If they're not interested, why waste all of our time in getting setting there? But I think it's
we can direct our.
yes, right. It's
So
important. It's just how are you, Frank? You and Robert understand your group of people. Where is this going to be easy to implement? But my vision is really in share, right? That I should, and if you look at it, I have intelligent. Those mannequins are simply putting it in an AI conversation in all those ways where we went in that apartment, you remember Frank, and so on, the apartment where we weren't even in the bed. Telling I have the dummy would say, I call it the dummy, but the mannequin would say, right, I have a headache. What are the symptoms, basically, and you could train it for different ways to do it. Okay.
Absolutely. All right.
Good to meet you all. Roberto.
Likewise, Sarah, thank you for your time, and we'll stay in touch.
Yeah,
sure.
and now you
Thank
know
you,
that
Robert.
I just want thank you, Robert, and I just wanted to let you know, Frank, that I did follow up your advice.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah, no, I'm just telling you, and this is what. So, in a way, you can look at that as look at the half glass full. He's saying, keep on going with Frank, and pursue something there. So I think we can look at it as that way. You know what I mean, Frank? Rather than saying we just don't have time, we'll talk to you next year. It's a follow up with Frank, and then we can come up with, from the ground up.
awesome.
Thumbs up.
Bye.
Have a great day.
Yeah,
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
Bye.